At Kapoho Bay on the east side of the Big Island, there is a 4.5-acre lagoon created by a 260-meter-long stone wall that has an opening called a Makaha that connects the inner lagoon with the ocean. Hawaiian green turtles, or honu, are found in the lagoon where they forage and rest. The only major forage inside of the lagoon is a special salt-tolerant grass called Pollen. This is a very unique situation found only in a couple places in Hawaii. Honu can only get to the Pollen during the highest of tides, and during those high tides they can be seen in the lagoon grazing on the grass. When the tide is out, as in this photograph, you can see how much the honu crop the grass. The honu in this video is taking advantage of the high tide and is foraging vigorously on the Pollen. Work done by McDermott et al. Has shown that Pollen is more nutritious than the algae that is the normal forage for Kapoho honu. This resource is only available during certain high tides, and therefore the honu that come into the lagoon to rest must go outside of the lagoon on a regular basis to feed on algae. The Makaha is a 2-meter wide opening in the wall that allows honu to move in and out of the lagoon to gain access to the ocean and their primary foraging grounds. This opening is wide enough for the turtles, but there are some very large rocks in the middle of the Makaha that do hinder the turtles' movements during low tides, as you will see in the video. Removing these rocks would definitely help the honu to move through the opening more easily. They move in and out of the lagoon through the Makaha to gain access to the ocean and their primary foraging grounds. In other areas where this sort of situation exists, Kiholo Bay for example, the turtles generally move out of the lagoon during the early morning hours and come back into the lagoon during the evening hours. Their movements are controlled somewhat by the tide and wave action. Our project during this last trip to Kapoho was to monitor the Makaha for a 24-hour period to determine when and how many honu are moving in and out of the lagoon. The video recording ran for 24 hours from 1600 hours on April 18th to 1600 hours on April 19th. We counted the turtles as they passed through the field of view of the video in and out of the lagoon. What you see now is the movement of honu into the lagoon during the evening hours. The entrance is not very deep nor wide, but the honu make it through by timing their entry with the waves and crawling over the rocks when necessary. During the night it appears that very little movement occurs through the Makaha, but around 0500 hours in the morning, the honu begin to move out through the Makaha to the open ocean. What follows are a few clips of the honu leaving the lagoon. The total count we obtained, although we undoubtedly missed a few because of the weather, showed that turtles moved into the lagoon between 1200 and 2100 hours, with the peak movement occurring during the 1600 to 1900 hour period. The total counted entering the lagoon during this period on this particular day was 17. Exiting the lagoon occurred between 0300 hours and 1100 hours, with the peak between 0400 and 0600. The total number of honu counted moving out of the lagoon was 27. This count represents only one 24-hour period and may or may not be representative of the average. Nonetheless, it confirms that the movement of turtles into resting areas like the lagoon generally occurs in the afternoons and evenings, and movement out of the lagoon to foraging areas occurs early in the morning. The reason for this schedule is believed to relate to the fact that they rest during the night in the lagoon and move out to feed during the day in the shallow coastal areas outside of the lagoon proper. The graph you see here is a depiction of the number of turtles moving in or out through the Makaha over a 24-hour period from 4/18/16 and 4/19/16. The red positive columns represents turtle entering the lagoon, and the blue negative numbers represent turtles leaving the lagoon. The enlarged depiction of the incoming turtles shows that 15 honu came in during the evening hours. And looking at the magnified view of the turtles leaving shows that 27 left during the morning hours. The data gathered during this 24-hour observation shows that the enclosed lagoon is an important resting area for at least 27 green turtles, and with further observation, we believe that the number would likely escalate to 40 or 50 honu.